Voice focus on personal development, health, education, life choice, relationship. Also, we host Holistic African Market. For more information, you can contact Brother Dougie on 0788-240-3871. I repeat, 0788-240-3871. Also, you can catch us on YouTube. Type in Brother Dougie, find your voice. Also, every Tuesday on SLR Radio from 10:30 p.m. You can tune into slrradio.co.uk. Now then, Melvin Barrett will be the final speaker, and he'll be talking about the power of the brain. And Melvin is what I say, he's a Terminator. You remember the film The Terminator? That just keep going and going and going, you know? That's what Melvin is. He's a Terminator, keeps going and going and going. And he has a wealth of knowledge, you know? His background is teaching. His specific subject is maths. And he will share with us the whole thing about the brain. Now then, Melvin's a ignorant person, because if you don't give him the right applause, go for I get vexed. I said, sure, what kind of fool place may I come to? Right? I come to find your voice and do not deal with it properly. But when I say Melvin, you're going to say Melvin Barrett. Melvin? Melvin, that sound good to you? You see what that's? You go for just give me a kung fu kick, you know? You know? So I keep away from just in case and give me a kung fu kick. When I say Melvin? Melvin? Okay, open mind, open heart. Please welcome the great man, Melvin Barrett. Come on, give me a clap. Yeah! Melvin Barrett. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brother Dougie. I've known Brother Dougie for, must be about 15, maybe even more than that, years, 20 years now, somewhere like that. And one thing I can say about Brother Dougie is he never stops. He talks about me never stopping. This guy never stops. And he has a heart that is huge. It's like a bottomless well. It just goes on. And his heart is for us as a people. I really want you to get that. And on top of that, the way this guy will call me almost all hours of the night when he needs to speak to me. So and I can't hide from him. I have to respond. So I really want you to just, as much as he said some awesome things about me, I really want to return some of that, because he really is a man of the people. Thank you very much. Yeah. And it's actually quite appropriate that the name of his organization is Find Your Voice. I mean, how many of us really take the time to find our voice? We find everybody else's voice but our own. So I'm just going to speak a little today about something that I call the structure of results. But before I do that, I notice here you have this university college admissions thing. So I understand one of the reasons for this particular event was so that you guys could access just a possibility of some further and higher education. Because when I left school, I'm 54. I'm 55 this year. Did you know Jamaica's independent today? In 1962, I was born in 17 September 1962. So that's how I always remember my birthday, because Jamaica Independence Day. Otherwise, it won't bother me. Anyway, the point I'm making is when I left school in 1979, I left school with no qualifications, nothing. I mean, like my maths, I got a U grade in maths. Like, you know, U for useless or U for you dummy. That's how it was with me in mathematics. So, and I went through life at that very early stage, just running around, doing anything I wanted to do, thinking that I was having a fantastic time. It was only when I got to about 23, 20, 21, 22, and I started to see people around me who didn't leave school, because I went to the sixth form, because, you know, my parents said to me, if you're of my age, in my era, I love my parents, I bless them. My dad just passed away in March, but I bless them. They're awesome. But, and it's a big but, when I was going to school, I was just told you had to learn. You must learn. There was no reason, because they didn't have the ability to explain and express, couldn't find their voice. So when you can't find your voice, you can't tell your children anything. You have to find your voice. I had to find out the hard way that what they were saying about why you must stay in school was important, because I just saw some of my friends who stayed in school driving around in nice cars. They had motorbikes, they had racing bikes, they had everything. I had nothing. When I left school, I went into a job agency and I said, I've got no qualifications. He said, look over there, mate. On the left-hand side, jobs, no qualification, you could get any job you wanted. On the right-hand side, jobs with qualifications. You could get any job you wanted if you had a qualification. I didn't have any, so I went over there. But like nowadays, you know, when our children leave school, there's no such thing as a job with no qualifications. It doesn't exist. If you want to go and fill shelves in Sainsbury's, you need to have some GCSEs behind you. They're not going to take you. But back then, it was a piece of cake. I walked in, I said, I have that job. Low and paid job. It was a messenger. I just walked around London delivering parcels for rich people. It was great. I didn't know any better. And I kept doing that for a few years. And I realized I don't like it. It's because it's cold. And you know when you don't know that you don't know, you could just do anything. So I thought, well, let me see, what else can I do? Listen to my logic. I didn't like the cold because I was outside walking up and down. But also the money was very, very low. So I still had no qualifications. What can I do? So I saw an advertisement, and the pay was bigger than what I was getting. I can't remember what it was, but it was for a traffic warden. And I thought, oh, money, more money, I'll do that. So I became a traffic warden. Remember what I said? I didn't like the cold. I was still outside. Because when you don't know that you don't know, you just do anything. So I just went ahead, I'll become a traffic warden. I did that for a few years. And then suddenly I realized, well, I'm still getting nowhere really. And I want more money. I want more freedom. So I saw a job for a bus conductor. Yeah, on London Transport, working on the buses. And back then, you don't see it now, but you had a conductor, the guy who would come on or the woman, tickets please, and take your money. And so I went along for the test. And that's, I think, you know, when you spoke about hitting your low point, that's when I hit one of my low points in my life, because I went along for the test. And he said, mate, you passed the English, we really like you, but your maths was awful. And I'll never forget, one of the questions, a quarter, add a half. It looked like hieroglyphics to me. Another question, if somebody gives you, if the fare costs 63 pence, and they give you £1.50, how much change do they get? I just couldn't do it. I didn't know, this is me, pen and paper, I just couldn't do it. I walked out there thinking, oh my goodness, a bus conductor, I can't even do that. I was so low. I was genuinely at one, I've had lower points than that since then. You know, I bounced back, of course, but then that was my lowest point ever, because I began to realize that I didn't know. And what most people do at that stage, when they realize they don't know that they don't know, they go further down. They fall further. Well, I don't care anymore. And you can see that in our youth, because they're just doing anything. Anything. Not all of them, all right? Don't believe all that stuff that you see about all the stabbings and the acid and all the rest of it. It's not the main of who we are. So I decided to go back to college. And I went to college. The guy, when I went there, I said, I want to go back and do some GCSEs. And, well, it wasn't. It was CSEs at the time and O-levels. He said, well, you can't do that. You're too old now. You need to do a vocational course. He said, try engineering. He said, try the maths test. I was so appalling at maths that the test I just couldn't pass it. So he said, well, the only course we've got is this City and Guilds basic engineering course. And on this course was me, I was 23, and there was 22, and there were a bunch of 16-year-olds. Every single one of them failed at school. So they were just on this basic course where you could barely read and write properly. And so I did the course and I worked really hard. And here's the funny thing about life. I'm sure you've heard this before. Let me say it again. You know when the student is ready? When the student is ready, and only when the student is ready, that's when the teacher appears. Because I was ready. It was like when I had my first child at 33, I was ready. I didn't care what my wife said. I didn't care. I was ready. That picnic was mine. It was hers too, but so there was nothing that was going to make me move away from my picnic. Nothing. She could have said anything. I love her to bits. But she could have said anything. I wouldn't care. Not me. I was ready. So when I went into the college, all the rest of them playing around, and me, I just want to learn. So everything because it was engineering, it was maths. So I really had to get to grips with maths. I had to learn my times tables. I went home, I repeated my times tables to myself every day, morning, noon, and night. You know, like a mantra. I'd wake up in the morning, I'd go from my 1s right through to my 12s, twice, forwards, backwards, read it, then try and memorize it. Do it in the afternoon. Do it even. Before I knew it, I knew my times tables. Whereas when I was at school, I didn't want to know, so I didn't know. Now, I wanted to know. I'm telling you, when the student is ready, and only when the student is ready, that's when the teacher appears. No teacher will appear for you until you are ready. Fact. It doesn't matter how much. You know, there's books on how to lose weight out there. There's books on how to become a millionaire. There's books on how to learn French, Spanish, anything you want. There's books out there. If you're not ready, you're not going to learn it. You're not going to do it. Everything that you want, go YouTube. YouTube it. I learned how to build a fence in my garden using YouTube. I am like, when it comes to, building things and knocking things down, I'm like 2 left feet, 2 left hands. I'll bang my hand with the hammer and the nails all the rest. I learned how to build a fence. I just went on YouTube, copied what they told me to do, and I built a fence in my back. My wife was like stunned. Me can't even turn a light bulb. Incredible. So anyway, I went through my college. I went to university, and I studied engineering, electronic and electrical engineering. I just loved the maths. That's all I loved. I remember, in fact, when I was at college, the teacher said to me one day, the class was really playing around, really messing around, because they're a bunch of 16-year-olds who had no direction. And in fact, the head of the course said, Melvin, we really want you to stay, because one of the reasons is that you're a steadying, calming influence on the rest of them. Please stay. Because I was flying, and I wanted to get onto the next course, and the next course said, stay with these guys. I didn't really want to, because I felt it was limiting me. But anyway, one day, one of the maths engineers came in, and he said, anybody know Pythagoras' theorem? And people were laughing and chucking things. And he said, does anybody know it? I said, I know it. He said, well, what is it? And I stood up, and I recited from, I don't know where it came from. I said, in a right angle triangle, the square and the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the square on the other 2 sides. He was gobsmacked. And then he said to me, what does it mean? And I went, I don't know. I had no idea. I just didn't. When I was at school, they said, memorize it. I just memorized it. I didn't know what it meant. And he said to me, I'll show you what it means. Oh, I was so ready. He drew a right angle triangle. And then he drew a square on the long side, a square on the short side, another square underneath. He said, when you add these 2 squares together, it gives you the middle one. I was like, oh. I nearly cried. And it was so easy. Learning is easy when you're ready. When you're ready. I have to keep emphasizing that, because if you are not ready, you ain't going to learn anything. I don't care how powerful I sound to you. I don't get the Ras McCoy. Awesome. You ain't ready. It's going in one ear and out the other. Just like that. Brother who spoke earlier on about words. I mean, that was deep. You're not ready, you ain't going to get it. Really, really important. So I went to university, and then when I was at uni, they had me studying this maths, really, really complicated, high-level maths. And it was something called, I can hardly remember it now, some kind of flow theory. And what we were looking at was an electron flowing through a cable, and just studying one electron. You know, like you see leaves, and if you see them in a fast-flowing river, there's tons of leaves. We were like studying one electron flowing through the cable, and the mathematics that we needed for it, it took about 35 to 40 minutes to work out the mathematics for one problem. I said, what is this? Why? It never, I said, no, I don't want to practice. So when I finished, they said, what do you want to do? And this is the beauty of having the piece of paper that they say you must have. Because then you can choose what you want to do. You can choose. You know, people with degrees in English are heading up corporations. You know, I know the guy a few years ago, the guy who was in charge of Selfridges and the overseeing of all the finances of Selfridges actually had a degree in English. Nothing to do with maths. It's just a piece of paper. It's just a piece of paper. You just need to get the paper. Then you can do literally what you want to do. And actually, one of the things about having a piece of paper is that you know you can do it. You know you can do anything that anybody else can do. You kind of get that about yourself. So somebody said to me, why don't you teach maths? I thought, wow, teach maths, that'd be brilliant. I could give back to the community. I left with no qualifications. I could really tell these kids how important it is to get your qualifications. And I went after it, and I went after it big time. Very, very successful. I became a head of maths. When my friends from the old school said, what are you doing now, Melvin? Head of maths. Lord have mercy. You, maths, you was rubbish. They were shocked. But to become a head of mathematics in a school, that's something special. And I'm not saying that to brag, but you're in charge of one of the key qualifications for every single student in the school. It's a core subject. It's very important. And for them to give that to little old me, you know, big responsibility. I just went to work. I've become an assistant head teacher. The only thing I didn't do was become a deputy and head teacher. And one of the reasons for that is because I discovered business, and several things happened at once, actually. One, I realized that the education system, as wonderful as it is, it ain't that wonderful. No, it's not designed to benefit. It's like a one-size-fits-all. And although we are one, we're not that one. We're individuals. You can't, there are some children, some of our children, sitting in a classroom for like how you guys are sitting here. This is like training to keep you asleep. I don't want to go into it. That's not what I'm here to talk about. But I just said to myself, no, I want to do things differently. I want to wake people up. You know the word educate, right? The part of that word is educe. And educe means to draw out. Draw out. But what we do with our kids, we keep putting things in. Learn this, learn that. We keep stuffing things in. So what you think when you keep telling to a kid, remember this, remember these facts, learn about the European Union. And the other side of it is that we're learning about things that seem to have nothing that we relate to. But keep asking you to do those things. They're not asking about you. They just keep putting things in. My objective is to draw things out, because the greatness is not out there. That's all illusory. The greatness is in here. It's within, and it's for you to draw it out. And I'm going to show you a model here that you can use to kind of just get an idea of what results are and how you go about getting and creating a result for yourself in your life. Very, very powerful. I use this with many of my clients, in fact. I call it structure for results. So that's just a little about me. I could really go on all day about so many things have happened to me in my life that keep telling me that you have to be responsible for yourself. I'm going to, as I keep speaking, maybe I'll get around to a little bit of that. I don't mean it in the way that many people think. Most people think, you see, the word responsibility, they equate that to blame when things go wrong, shame and all the rest of it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about owning yourself, your true self, not the self that's been imposed on you by, get this, your parents, society, religion, church, whatever you want. Those things that have been feelings and emotions that have been imposed on you make it difficult for you to see who you are. Very difficult. And it starts very, very early in childhood. I've got so much that I want to share, but I'll just try and stick to, first thing, every single thing in the world, I don't care what it is, you're going to get a result. Most people start there. Why do I keep getting that result all the time? Why does it keep happening like that? That's what they say to themselves. The result comes from, every single result in the world stems from the action. Pardon my chicken scratching handwriting if you can't. That's action. Every single result in the world stems from action. So you do something, you get a result. Most people stop there. They stop right there. They say, it's not working. Let me change my action. Anybody ever been on a yo-yo diet, where 1 minute you're on the diet, next minute you're off the diet? Anybody drink and can't stop drinking, and they stop drinking, they start drinking again, or they get into drugs, or, I know there's little ones here, some of that stuff on the internet, which is unsavory. All that sort of stuff is because they're playing around with the results, with the action, to try and change the results. And it does work. Superficially, it does. But you need to go deeper if you actually want to impact the results in your life. You need to go deeper. So this is just a structure. Okay, so the next thing, really important, that most people don't recognize, they don't recognize. I know it sounds quite trite, but thinking. We don't recognize, we actually think automatically. We don't even realize we're thinking. And actually, most of our thought processes are taken up with self-talk. So you're just talking to yourself. You wake up in the morning, what do I want for breakfast? Shall I get out of bed? Who's that sitting next to me? All that sort of stuff. We're just doing it all day long. I found something out the other day. Research has shown that we speak somewhere between 300 and 1,000 words a minute to ourselves in our head. 300 to 1,000 words a minute. You know why? Because we speak to ourselves in images. When I say I am hungry, the words I am hungry don't appear in my head. What appears in my head is hunger and what that looks like for me. I mean, for me, hunger, it's typically, it's some chicken. I know, for me, it's some chicken. For you, it might be, whatever it is. But that's one of the things that I see when I say I am hungry. And there's a whole host of other things that happen around here. And when people don't recognize this is your thinking, then you take action based on the way you think, and then you get a result. So what we say is it's because of the food and the additives and no, it's because of the way you think. That's why you took that action. Yeah, but the media this and the media that. Yes, very true, but it's the way you think. Because nobody controls your thinking but who? You. You control your thinking. Nobody can control your thinking. It's yours. You can't control my thinking. That's one of the things. I love my parents. I keep saying it. I love them to bits. One of the things my parents tried to do when I was little, I say tried, they tried to control my thinking. Tried to tell me what to think and why to think. Actually, not how to think. There's a process to thinking that most of us are completely unaware of. So I keep thinking like this and I can't stop thinking these thoughts. Yeah, you can. You just haven't been taught how to think. You've been taught what to think and why to think, but you haven't been taught how to think. When you're taught how to think, you get how you think. You know, when you get how you think, you get you. And when you get you, nobody can get you. There's no advertisement out there that can get you anymore. You begin to choose. So everything revolves around thinking when it comes to taking action and getting a result. You ain't going to get a result that you want if you're not in charge down here. It goes even deeper, though. There's a thinking. There's something else below thinking. And I won't even ask you to guess what it is. I'll tell you. Feeling. The way we feel. You know, when you're born as a tiny little baby, are you born thinking or are you born feeling? Feeling. Why? How do you know? Tell me why. Because, okay, touch. Okay, anything else? Hungry. Yeah, it's hungry. It's hunger. I think I'm hungry. That's a feeling. No, but you use the word think. This is why we get confused. Because you said think. No. Thinking is done up here. Feeling is done down here. Yeah? All the feeling down here. So when you feel hungry, you feel it here. But you think it, but you're feeling it. And what happens with most of us, especially men, watch out now, huh? Because we're sometimes not very good at that. That really is how it goes. But for a lot of us, we've got, this is how, it's supposed to go from feeling to thinking. But for many of us, we've got this circular thing going on. And actually, it's huge. We think with our feelings. We don't, it sounds strange, doesn't it? We think with our feelings. We don't think with our thoughts. We think with our feelings. So we go straight from feeling to action. That's how you can, check this out, that's how you can stab somebody. You didn't think, you just felt. I feel if it boss you in your head. You know, yeah. We feel more than we think. And actually, we need to get the process with, because this is what we're talking, you're talking about, Brother Rats, talk about consciousness, about being conscious. When you're conscious, you don't do those things. When you know yourself, you wouldn't want that to happen to you. You wouldn't. You wouldn't want anybody to take your life with a knife or a gun. You wouldn't. You wouldn't want anybody to shout at you. You wouldn't want anybody to be nasty to you when you're conscious. When you're unconscious, you don't care. You just feel. Yeah, you feel. I felt. You know, you don't even know how you felt it. When I say to people, well, what happened? What did you feel? They say, what do you mean, what did I feel? I was angry. Yeah, but where did you feel the anger? What do you mean, where did I feel the anger? He said this, so I said that. I said, no, but where did you feel? What happened to you? What do you mean, what happened to me? And I have to literally guide them. How were you breathing? Oh, well, I wasn't really breathing much. You know, when you stop breathing, you oxygenate. This is really interesting. You oxygenate the emotional part of the brain, and you cut off the forebrain, where we do all the thinking, planning, deciding, memorizing, recalling, all of that stuff, daydreaming, that goes on here. At the back of the brain, you've got emotions. When this part of the brain is charged, it's actually like on a seesaw. It's just incredible. It's like a seesaw. So when the emotions are high, the logical part of your brain and mind is low. So I'm angry. Yeah. And how did you feel? Well, I don't know what you mean. Well, how was your breathing? Well, if you're you're panting like that, you are oxygenating the back of your brain. And what happens, I'm telling you, we're so incredibly made. You know, the blood vessels at the front of the brain constrict. When you go, they get smaller. Get smaller, less oxygen can get to the front of your brain, more oxygen goes to the back of the brain. Before you know it, you're in a blood fight for your life. And it's not a real life and death situation. It's not real fight and flight. You know, like if you heard a lion go, "Roar," you go, instantly. But when somebody says, I don't like you, that's not the same thing. The body's going to respond. The brain responds in exactly the same way. So that's what I mean about getting to know you. So thinking, most people don't get that. Feeling, most people don't even understand their feelings. You know, when I'm angry, also, what's happening in your stomach. You know, it feels. That's another thing, you guys. when you get really angry, your stomach constricts as well. The blood vessels in your stomach constrict. Now, what about that? Well, that's your digestive system. That's your life, isn't it? Because if you're not digesting your food properly, you're going to end up dead. So people are walking around angry all the time, stressed all the time. That's why you are, say, dis-ease. You get dis-eases. That's what you get. Because you're angry all the time. Because you're not tuning in to the thinking. You've got the feeling part. Underneath feelings. This structure, just study this structure. I tell you can get so much out of it. Emotions. Yeah? What's the difference between feelings and emotions, you might ask yourself? Well, emotions are that's energy in motion. Right now, you've got emotions going on. You have emotions going on 24/7. You're just your bodily functions, the way your body moves. If you feel hungry right now, there are some some energetic signals that are going around your body. Feelings is when you become aware of the emotion. So you're really hungry. You've been hungry for like 2 hours, but you haven't been aware of it. So you're not hungry. And then somebody says, "You fancy some food?" "Oh, yes, please." Suddenly, you feel the digestive juices start rocking up. They want to get some food. That's because you've gone from here to there. You know, you need to go to the loo. You don't realize it, and suddenly, you get this pang. "Oh, I need to go. All of a sudden, that's an emotion. Most of us think of emotions. Typically, we think of them negatively. All our negative emotions. And we don't spend very much time on our positive ones. Let me tell you something else about the brain. Guys, 4 out of 5 thoughts, feelings, perceptions, memories, 5 out of 4 are negative. Let's just say they're survival based. I think that's better because there's no such thing as a negative emotion. Emotions are just signals. That's all they are. They're just signals to tell you something's going on and that you need to do something, change something, or think about something differently. That's what an emotion is. Most people, again, bless them, don't get it. So very, very important. But you think about it, 4 out of 5 of your thoughts on a daily basis are survival based. So you're worrying about things. You know, when you walked into this room, every single one of you, your error detection rang in immediately. Even when you're amongst friends, you're looking around, what about that one's hair, and that one's nails, and that one's nose, and that one's trousers, and that one's suit, and all that just going on all the time, constantly. And you think about it, we're speaking to ourselves at this. By the way, when do you think you're speaking at your highest rates? When do you think that you're speaking like 1,000 words a minute? When? What sort of state would you be in? Somebody have a guess. It's okay if you get it wrong because you learned something. When you're angry. Oh, yeah. When you're emotionally high, 1,000 words a minute. Now, check it out. I'm angry. I'm really angry. I'm angry. So, 1,000 words a minute going on. She's angry. We're having a conversation, but we're stressed. We're both angry. So, you sure now? So it's probably some kid just popped it. Yeah, guys, just in case, the exit door is just there. Follow me. So we're both angry. We're both speaking 1,000 words a minute in our head. You never been in that conversation where you're so angry, you're speaking to the person, they say something, you don't even acknowledge what they've said. You just carry on talking about what you're talking about. You know why? Because 4 out of your 5 thoughts now focus on them and the things they didn't do for you. So the one good thing they did do, you're not interested in that. They could say it to you any old how. You ain't going to hear it. I'm just going to tell you that last week you disrespected me. And 4 years ago, and 25 years ago, when I was a kid, you disrespected me. That's what all we're going to do. Because we're speaking at such a high rate. Both of us doing that. You can see why confrontation quickly becomes conflagration. You know, explosive. It's incredible. And there are simple techniques. I work with my clients all the time on just managing this stuff, managing it. And then from management, we go to mastery, self-mastery. That's when you're the true captain, when you can master yourself. And I'm deliberately separating the word your and self and putting a capital S, the big S for the big self, not the small little s that's inside you. We've all got that little self. The little self is the one that's always looking for what's wrong. Always. The big self is looking for what can I do that's going to forward my life? What can I do that will take me to the next level all the time? But you're going to pay attention to this one more than you're going to pay attention to the negative one. Is everybody with me so far? Okay, great stuff. So there's one more piece to this. Brilliant. And that is, it's a physiology. All right, and that is just, again, you just put these arrows in. That is simply, this is at the bottom of everything. This is really where it all happens. Remember I spoke about your emotions are energetic signals flowing around your body. That's what your physiology is. And it just recognizes these things. The more you become aware of your beating hearts, the more you become aware of the breath, just becoming aware of it actually gets you to attune more to the physiological side of you. So then you can start to recognize, anger actually has a pattern. It's a pattern. If you recognize it as a pattern, then you can do two things. First of all, you can stop looking at the content. The content is what the person said or how you felt about what the person said. But the process of anger for you is the same probably every single time. You start getting hot. You start feeling your heart beating. The breathing starts becoming more rapid and more shallow. All of those things are signals that you're getting angry. But we don't pay any attention to that. We pay attention to the content. We keep looking at and the content just images in your head. And it's not real. You've created it. Do you get that? So, to get a result, if you really want to impact your life, start down here. Start down here. Then work your way upwards. Start to recognize. Emotions, very interesting actually, that we learn emotions around about, I think it's about 4 or 5. We begin to learn emotions. And then we get to a certain age in our life, around about 9 or 10, where we start to concretize things. So if you've got a little 7-year-old and there's a cat walking along the road, and you say to the 7-year-old, look at that dog. Thinking, that's not a dog, that's a cat. They say, well, why is it a cat? And they'll tell you, because they've got a concrete understanding of what that animal is. Well, it's got whiskers, it's got fur like a dog, it's got 4 legs like a dog, but what distinguishes it is that it goes meow, it doesn't go woof. And these are like rules that we learn. And once you learn those rules, they concretize and they stay with you for the rest of your life. In terms of our emotions, most people don't realize that we also develop our emotions at around about the same age. And actually, they don't develop any further because nobody teaches you how to develop your emotions. You're not taught how to grow through your emotions. You're taught how to suppress them. Remember this one? Stop ball. Yeah? You're getting somebody's swinging at you and they're telling you to stop crying whilst they're swinging at you. What was that about? Bless them. I keep getting, listen, I love my parents. I really do. They're awesome. My father passed away in March. One of the things that because he was from the old school with the belt. I mean, some of you little ones, it's a horror story. When I tell my 11-year-old, my dad used to hit me. I couldn't even say beats because she wouldn't get that. Hit me with a belt. She looks at me in horror, like, I mean, and I'm thinking about it. It was kind of acceptable for us back then. So we didn't have that horror. So our emotions, we learned how to deal with our emotions at that level. We never learned to grow through it. We never learned how to really grow and get in touch. Feel your emotions. When you feel your emotions, you recognize they're not there to do anything but tell you to do something or not do something. They're very powerful, but we never learn that process. I help my clients with this all the time. You know, for most people, ever heard that one when they say to you, grow up? You're a big adult. Say to you, grow up. You're acting like a kid. What they mean, because you're a big adult, you know what they mean is emotionally, you're behaving like a 9-year-old. Yeah, anybody can, yeah? It took me, and when I say it took me, it's still taking me, because we're designed to survive. Our brain is designed to survive. That's it. Get that about your brain. It's just designed to keep you alive under all circumstances. Push comes to shove, you will violate almost anything to keep yourself alive. What you perceive to be of value, that's what you go after. So, hence, one of the reasons why many of us can't, you know, when it comes to the man and the woman, we can't stay together, because we will violate each other in the need to get our emotions met. But we meet our emotions as 9-year-olds in general. To meet your emotions as an adult, you have to have adult emotions. Adult emotions involve you being able to take it when somebody says you're out of order, and actually say, hold on a minute, let me have a look at that. But most of us cross our arms, put our thumb in our mouth. Like, you can't talk to me like that. Because we haven't learnt how to get adult emotions again. I love my parents to... I love my parents to bits. I really do. But they never had adult emotions. They had 9-year-old emotions. And when you see that acting out in your life, you just have the same emotions. You don't think there's any different way of doing it. So again, when I work with my clients, I show them how to do that. So you can become, Ras McCoy spoke about love. So you can become a lover. I don't mean like this, you know, lover now is this thing that's been sexualized. But I'm talking about really, really having a deep love for yourself first. Then you can have it for anybody and anything. Then you become all powerful. Yeah. Love is a feeling. There's this group. I don't like to use the word love. I use feeling. Yeah, I feel for you. Yeah. I feel that. But you know the thing about feelings, just real quick, because I'm going to wrap up now. The thing about feelings, you have to be really careful that you don't. You know what identity is, right? Yeah, you know, you have an identity. When you look in the mirror, most of us, by the way, don't spend any time looking at ourselves. You look in the mirror and you look away, or you look at me and go, I don't like the look of that. I'm too fat, I'm too thin, I'm too black, my nose is too wide, all that sort of nonsense, rubbish that your brain keeps doing. 300,000 words a minute when you start talking about yourself like that. You've got no chance. And then 4 out of 5, error detection. So when your emotions are high, you identify with things. So that's why you could be in let's say you've got let's check this one. You get a brand new Mercedes. I mean, I don't know if you're into cars and that, but listen, it's a car of your choice. And you park it outside your house. It's the color of your dream, metallic red or whatever it is. And you leave it outside your house. The next morning you come down and somebody's keyed in it, you are a dog or something like that. How do you feel? Mad. How do you feel? Come on. Be honest. How do you feel? Angry. Upset. See, because you identify the car with your being. Nothing's happened to you. Nothing. You ain't gonna stop breathing because somebody scratched the car. Nothing happened to you. And we identify very, very quickly with things. So I get what you mean about feeling, but we just have to be a little bit careful about how we feel. It's so important.
Okay, then. What I'm going to do, I'm going to stop Melvin in his flow. Yeah. But we're going to open up with about 3 burning questions. So, has anybody got a burning question in terms of what's been said? But before that, give Melvin a clap. Come on, give him a clap. Yeah? Absolutely fantastic. Has anybody got a question they want to... Yes, my sister.
Yes. Hi, brother. My name
My
is
sister.
Shahida.
Shahida,
Yes.
bless up.
And my question is, what age group do you teach? Not teach.
Coach.
Coach. That's
Coach.
the word.
Any age group, I'd say from the youngest I've worked with was I think she was 11, and I worked with individuals in their 60s, and anyone can transform. The brain is so powerful. It's again, I keep going. Ras McCoy was talking about infinity. Your brain is infinite. The number of connections you can make up here is infinite. You can do anything up here, which is why it's so powerful. We can do anything. So, your age is not a barrier to you making progress.
Okay, then. We have a brother over there, Siam.
Age is the number. Yeah. I'm 54 years of age. I'm not 54 years old. I'm 54 years of age.
Okay.
So what? Sorry.
Yeah, my question is just to kind of open it up a little bit on another level. We talk about the brain a lot. And we make out like the brain is the master organ, yeah? But when a developing fetus is growing within the womb, the first organ, before the brain is even in any, before the brain has even had a first atom to kind of develop itself, you're dealing with the heart.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So a lot of people talk about the brain, and I find a Western, they really deal with the brain a lot, yeah? And the brain is a receiver transmitter. And they make out like the brain is everything.
Yes.
In ancient Kemet, what they used to do, or in some of the other cultures with the brain, we'll just pull it out by the nose and dash it away. The other organs that were being preserved was like the liver, the heart, these other kidneys,
Yes.
yeah? Because you're dealing with the endocrine system, which links with the chakra system, right? So anyway, my question is, we talk about the brain a lot, but what about the consciousness of the heart? It's a
Wonderful question, my brother. Wonderful question. I don't know if you even know, but the heart is the only organ in the body that is linked to every single one of the 50 trillion cells that we have in our body. So in other words, when you feel something here, you feel it in your entirety. So that's why, anger is so quick an emotion to feel. We got a pattern about that. And I keep going about anger because it's so important. We have a pattern around that and a feeling around that actually, before we even realize it, boom, it's kicked in. So it's really, really powerful. But yeah, the heart is everything. The heart produces love. Love. Everything in the world can be overcome with love. The way when you say, I love my child, do you say, I love my child with all my knee? No, with all my heart. The heart is everything. So yeah, absolutely. It's just that we think the brain runs the show. It doesn't. The heart pumps out more energy, like thousands of times more energy than the brain. The heart. We don't tune into it. Get out of your head and get into your heart. Get out of your head. You're in your head too much. Get out of your head, get into your heart. Thank you so much, my brother. Awesome.
Okay. Anybody got a question you want to ask?
One more question. Don't be shy. That's your head. All of you right now, your head's talking. No, I'm not going to ask. I'm going to sound stupid. I'm scared. I'm worried. Yep. Yes.
Yes, Melvin, you talked at the beginning about you have to be ready to be taught as a student.
Yeah.
what happens to people who...
Hold on. Sorry, we need to... sorry.
I just wanted to ask, what happens to people when they are in a state of depression or they're in a mental breakdown? How do you use what you've taught us to bring somebody back to normality?
Well, the first thing is that most depression is, and this could sound a bit harsh, is self-inflicted. You keep talking about it's because of those white people or because I ain't got any money and all that stuff. Like it's just like I said with the car. Somebody scratches the car. Nothing's happened to you. Nothing at all. Nobody scratched you. It's all down to the way you deal with it. It's the meaning that you give it. You can take this to the bank. There's two things. First of all, the words...
Hold on. Let's have one meeting, please. We'd better speak.
Sorry, the words... First of all, the words that you use create the life you live. Stop blaming the man. Please, I'm not being judgmental when I say that. The words that you use create the life you live. Some of you are going to be perplexed by that, but just slowly begin to think, is it possible that it could be me and the words that I use that create the life that I live? Because if the answer starts to become yes, then you can do something about it. If the answer is no, you can't do anything about it. That means your external circumstances, the external circumstances of your life create you. You don't create life anymore. So that's the first thing. So the second thing about depression, when I say it's self-inflicted, is that it's the meaning that you give to a situation. Somebody could say, like for example, my little daughter, she's awesome. Now she said to me this morning, "Leave me alone." She's upset. She's 11, right? So I now know, I didn't know before, but I now know at 11, the emotions are just beginning to strengthen, function. She has an identity of who she is. Leave me alone. So now, here's how I used to take that. How dare you speak to me like that? I'm your father. You're being disrespectful. You're being rude. You know when you do that, you crush the child. Because you haven't allowed the expression to go. She didn't tell me to F off. She just said, leave me alone. That's what she said. So I look underneath. What is it that she means by that? So that so I can have a conversation with her. A lot of people, so now you get into that argument with your kid. And before you know, I can't control my kid. I'm rubbish. I'm useless. You get depressed. Can you hear what I just said? I can't control my kid. I'm useless, I'm rubbish. Nobody said that. I said it. Most depression, unless you were born with some, brain defect, most depression is self-inflicted.
Okay, then. All right, then. Brother, did you want to ask a question? Or can you use the mic very quickly?
But you said the answer. Joking.
You said the greater the attachment, and the greater the attachment, the greater the impact of the blow.
Oh, you hit it. You hit it. Did you all hear that? The greater you attach yourself to something, the more significant will be the blow that you receive.
Exactly.
Yeah, my car,
beautifully put.
And you know what you start to do, because the way the brain works, it has to agree with what you've said. So if I've said my car has been damaged, now that scumbag, that person's jealous of me, that person didn't like me, is probably some racist. All of that stuff starts going through my head. I have no idea. It could have been somebody just drunk, roll past. I've got a big picture. Your head, your brain has to deal and go with what you say. It just does it like that.
Okay, then. We need to bring this to a close here because we're literally running way over time.
Yes.
Can you please big up to Melvin? Right? And, yeah. Now then, we're supposed to do a raffle. I don't know when to the raffle bowl, but when we find it, we'll do the raffle probably a little bit later on. I'm just trying to find a raffle bowl. Huh? Wasn't going to raffle? No. Okay then.
Sorry, Dougie, just one thing. I do a little bit of self-promotion here. I offer a freedom session. So it's a free session, and I guarantee you in that hour, 1 hour, I guarantee you some freedom from whatever it is you're dealing with. Whatever you're dealing with, 1 hour. That's my number. Take my number down. I'll come round and ask you for your number anyway. I always do that. But I say take it down. But I'll come. A freedom session. 1 hour. I guarantee you some freedom.
Free. Okay then. Can you please big up Melvin again? Yeah? Okay then. All right. Now then, those of us wasn't aware, obviously there was slight little hiccups in the early part. That's the reason why we're in here. 07
0796.
No, let me read that. 0796 140 6240. Yeah?
You won't believe I was a maths teacher.
Okay. And his name is Melvin Barrett. Okay.
Melvin Barrett. The number 0796 140 6240. Melvin. It's Melvin. Dougie just calls me Melvin. I'm giving up now.
Okay. All right.
I love him, so I don't care anymore.
Well, brother, we're going to get to another meeting now. We need to bring this to a close now. Please. Okay, then. If we had to do a valuation, there's three things. Hold on, let's have one meeting, please. Sorry. There's three things. A, was we organized? Yes. And trust me, there's always be room for that. B, was it fun? Yes. It was fun because you learn more in a fun environment. But most of all, right, was it informative? Was it inspired? Was it educational? All right, come on, give Melvin a clap again. Yeah. Also, we need to big up Russ McCoy. Russ McCoy, come to the front, please. Yeah. Jammers, come to the front. And who spoke first? Darren's gone, yeah? Can you please give him a clap again, yeah? Yeah? Okay then. Now then, what we're doing now, hold on, brother. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Now then, what we're doing now, we're there for some serious professional production now, right? So what's going to happen now that it's going to be on a DVD. We're going to put it online. Hopefully by next week it'll be online. Yeah. Now, once on DVD, the question is now, are you going to buy a copy? Yeah? Yeah. Okay then. Because we definitely want to start to promote the events we're doing, make some money and promote it, you know? And that's the way forward now. We're very serious about that. So we're going to bring this to a close now, right? Please network for the next 5-10 minutes, yeah? And if there's some men about the place still, if you can help us to just put away some of the stuff, please, you know? And again, you know, it really is a pleasure for those who come out, you know? And it was good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Even though I was a bit stressed earlier on, but I mean, I'm back on top now, you know, I can smile it out now. So again, please give yourself a clap again, yeah? Yeah. Okay then. Thank you.
Don't forget, on a Tuesday night, Dougie's on SLR Radio, 97. Go on, Dougie.
97.7. So on SLR Radio. So please lock in. And if you want to phone and ask a question, the number is 07960 239 493. Okay then, we need to bring this to an end. From 10:30 to quite late, yeah?